Hey guys, it's Paradise, and you're in the right place for guides on the new moves for all of the new weapons in Wilds. These are quick and handy videos going over the new moves, what they do, how you can use them, and everything you really need to know to get started with these weapons in Monster Hunter Wilds. We already have a bunch of guides on the channel now for many of the other 14 weapons, and we'll continue doing the rest of them. So let us know what you think of these new moves and which weapon you want us to cover next. You can also drop a like below if you want to help us out, and subscribe for more Monster Hunter Wilds every day. In this video, we'll be bonking, dooting, and tooting on the hunting horn. Now, you would be wrong to think this weapon is just for support. The hunting horn is more than capable of dishing out impressive damage, epic KOs, as well as powerful team-wide buffs. In Wilds, the hunting horn is perhaps the best it's ever been. It has some amazing and direct gameplay impacting additions, such as being able to create echo bubbles, a rift solo that you can do mid-fight while destroying wounds, and even buffing while mounted. But let's kick it off with one of the coolest new moves, the echo bubble. This little UI element in the corner signifies how many echo bubbles you can cast, and you can do them by pressing R2 and X, which consumes one of the bubble icons. Note that while casting an echo bubble, you can produce and store up to 3 melody notes by quickly inputting them during the little dance animation to the beat of the animation's rhythm, which is actually a little harder than it looks, so this will require some mastering. These will regenerate over time, one by one, and it takes 30 seconds to get a charge back. You can have up to 3 charges as seen in the icon in the corner, and the echo bubbles when placed will last for 60 seconds, but you cannot place more than 3 or it will overwrite an existing one. These echo bubbles do several things. It creates an area of effect that will buff both yourself and allies, and the buff will be removed when you leave the circle after around 1 to 2 seconds. The actual buff effect will change depending on your hunting horn, and when playing notes or performing, it will actually deal damage to the monster near the echo bubble. When you have 2 to 3 of these stacked near a monster, this leads to some crazy damage as you play and perform notes. But it seems more sensible to spread these out or keep a couple banked for actual hunts, as monsters can of course move around a lot. You also have a brand new type of melody that you can store called a special performance. The one that we know of so far is called the offset melody. This is interesting because you can bank this by playing the correct combination of notes as with any other melody. However, this banks separately and isn't performed or consumed when performing and encoring other melodies. To activate your special performance once it's been stored, you want to press R2, triangle, and circle together. This will have you perform the offset melody for this hunting horn, which is a quick backwards spin followed up by a strong attack, which is also an offset attack. You should note that the offset attack here is sort of end-loaded in the animation, so you need some time in order to connect this to the monster's attack as you swing. But luckily, you can hold down this input to enter what is basically the Final Fantasy style idle stance that means you can time the attack better to release the hold as a monster is about to hit you. You can even do this during or after most attack combos, and it's a pretty strong move in of itself just for the damage. From the in-game tooltips, it suggests that different hunting horns have different special performance melodies, so it's possible that not all of them have this offset attack, but perhaps there's other cool new moves. I suspect the massive echo wave we saw in the weapon preview could be another type of special performance. After you have songs banked, you can perform those melodies by pressing R2 as before. But now, after each individual melody is finished playing in the sequence, you can press R2 again to perform a performance beat. The timing to get this perfectly is strict, and it is generally after the white flash. Doing this will give you a secondary hit, which if timed perfectly, will boost your damage and can be used once per melody you perform. To see how much increased damage we get, I tested this on the barrel with the same sharpness, self-improvement, and attack large active. Without perfect timing, on the first swing I got 30, on the second I got 32, and on the final hit I got 37. With the correct timing, which you can see with the red flash, I got 37 on the first melody, 47 on the second, and 52 on the final hit. So when perfectly timing this, the first melody got a 23.33 damage percent increase on the swing. The second got a 46.88% damage increase, and finally for the third melody, we got a 40.54 damage percent increase on the last swing. So it's a pretty respectable bonus when timed correctly. Also, it's good to note you can dodge out of a performance to keep the songs that haven't been performed now. We also have the Hunting Horn's new Focus Strike, which is activated by holding L2 for focus mode and pressing R1. This is a fairly long and drawn out stab with the horn, making this move fairly hard to hit, especially when the monster moves and the range is fairly limited. But connecting it with a wound will start the full reverb Focus Strike. This has you play the hunting horn like a guitar, where each strum on the hunting horn means you can bank a note with an input. This can be done up to 5 times by timing it with the animation, which again is very hard to master and get all 5 perfectly. You can easily get 3 to 4 with spamming, but more intentional presses with the rhythm make it a bit easier. Each banked note causes an extra tick of damage, with a final big hit if you land all 5. So timing this is vital to getting the most bang for your buck out of the move, but it's great for quickly building up melodies and banking those songs. Talking of the songs, Echo Waves also return as a melody, with each hunting horn having its own type of Echo Wave. We currently know from the notes that it can be both blunt or severing damage depending on the horn, and there will be different echo waves for the different elemental types and ailments, again according to the weapon notes. For the other songs, Attack Up will apply to other weapons when swapping to them, meaning you can buff yourself with it. But Self-Improvement seems to only apply its bonus damage effects to the actual hunting horn, so that song will not carry over. Interestingly, the resistance boost songs are listed as also preventing blights, which could be a considerable buff compared to past games, but it's hard to test Fire Blight in the demo as there's no fire monsters. Also, buffs will now show you when there's 20 seconds or less remaining in their duration above your health bar in the top corner, so you know when your buffs are about to end. We also have our riding attacks, which are totally unique for the hunting horn compared to other weapons. You can fully play and store melody notes and even perform songs, just not at full sprint speed. This is great for banking buffs as the monster is moving, allowing you to follow them while having the best songs banked, or just keep your buffs up in between traveling. As said, you can perform an encore while riding as well, but both performing and attacking while doing this deals significantly less damage than while grounded. The performance also slows you down to a near stop, so it isn't really worth doing. It's a fun thing to do and it's good for banking notes while following the monster, but otherwise I wouldn't really recommend doing this. Unless of course you're just keeping your buffs up or buffing to swap weapons. We of course do have our dismount attack with triangle and circle though, which has you do a massive flip and bonk attack for some good damage. By jumping off your sacred, you can either do a jumping smash with triangle, which banks that note, or R2 to perform when you land with whatever melodies you have saved. When you mount a monster, hitting a wound with R1 will have you do the awesome spinning bonk style attack that sends you flying and pops wounds. We also have our hilt stab, which is a nice move and can activate any melody note faster than their usual animations. This is done by following up any basic melody note with a directional input and then any of the existing notes. This means you can store any note type as a follow-up with a shorter animation. This move is great when you want to stack up some Sonic Wave songs, which you generally want to perform after your buffs are active. Pressing triangle and circle will do the overhead smash animation, which lets you bank 2 songs by pressing triangle and circle again in the second half. Then you can follow up with a directional input back and triangle circle a third time to get those 3 triangle and circles to finish the melody quickly. Overhead smash can also be followed up with a crush style attack by pressing the same input, allowing for 3 notes to be stored with those 2 moves as well. So the hunting horn has some impressive new additions and could be a staple for many players now that we can take 2 weapons, so it's good to know how to play it because it is extremely powerful too. Drop a like below if you're enjoying these guides and make sure you're subscribed down below for more videos on Monster Hunter Wilds coming your way very, very soon.